Good evening. Welcome to the channel again. This is Friday night for me, so I like to do a lot of fun things on Friday night. So instead of grading papers, I'm just going to go with some cute little stories. Maybe you didn't know about it. Thomas Alva Edison, God knows he invented everything, including motion pictures. He didn't invent this. He was looking at a model of the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell, and he was trying to improve the device back then. So he headed out the lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey, and he started looking at it, and it was 1877. He's trying to improve it, and when the phone was working, he says, "Hello," instead of what Ma Bell said, "Ahoy there." So when your cell phone goes off today, just be grateful you don't have to do just a second. Ahoy, skipper. God, what a bunch of crap. Can you believe that? The first time they ever saw a sticker that said, "Hello, my name is blank," was in 1880 at Niagara Falls. It was a telephone operator convention. They were called Hello Girls. First time word hello was used. Unbelievable. Next. What else is going on? All kinds of neat stuff. Oh, yeah. Dug this out the other day. Back in 1862 in Nevada, there was a newspaper called the Territorial Enterprise. It ran a story from Virginia City about a petrified man they found in a cave. They had been there for about 300 or 400 years. It had a wooden leg, an artificial leg. It was in a sitting position, had a thumb that was underneath his chin, and a forefinger that was pressing against the inner corner of his left eye. He was petrified. Really. This was picked up. This is 1862. So this is picked up all over the world. It ends up finally going coast to coast. And then London, England, the Lancet, the medical journal, the supremo of medical reviews, they write it, a copy of it. Unbelievable. But then you look and see the writer was their editor, a Mr. Samuel Clemens. Mark Twain. It was bunk. It was all crap. And he said, "Surely, I didn't think people would take off and believe this." Next. But it just proves, like W.C. Fields says, there's one born every day. But back then in the 19th century, papers also did a lot of that bunk stuff. What was it? The New York Sun wrote a series of stories about the lunar men or the moon men. And naturally, the person they were getting this information from, I think, was in South Africa. It ran for a subscription. It went over weeks. People were dying to get it. Not very smart people, but they were entertained. So it really wasn't a hoax to them. It was entertainment. At least that's what they thought. Because, of course, none of them actually got taken by that story. Bunch of crap. Everybody, I hope that if you went to high school, you know this for fact. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Okay, one, he never even made it to the mainland. He may have landed in Mexico. May have, we're not really sure. His entire 4 voyages over to the New World, he was certain that he was just this close to China or India or Japan. He never even realized or refused to believe that he had found a new landmass. Of course, the thing is about 500 years prior, probably a bunch of, Vikings, Leif Erikson. Maybe they found it. It was a map, after all. The Trojan War. At first thought to be a nice poem about a rough time. Thought it was myth. And they started digging in Asia Minor. And guess what they found? Troy. Holy crap, that's real? Oh, crap. Another one of my favorites. I get irritated. You can ask any of my kids. You don't know them, but you could ask them if you met them. What is the number one biggest hoax money maker for, let's say, some New Mexico city that primarily deals with dairy products? If you said Roswell, you win. What crashed in Roswell in 1947? Here's the answer, short term. Absolutely nothing. Now, a weather balloon did go down about 70 miles outside the city, so it should really be called the Corona incident, but why, we don't know. I think NBC went out there like in the 90s or 80s, and they went searching in the area with metal detectors and ground radar, and you know what they dug up? They dug up one thing. It wasn't an alien toenail or anything. It was a rivet from a 1940s weather balloon. Yikes! But you can't sell any books on that, can you? No. You got to find little green men, and your grandfather, after everybody dies, has to go back and remember the story. Well, my grandfather told me that he responded to the Roswell crash in a fire truck, which of course Roswell didn't have at the time, so they kind of time warped from the 60s. Please, don't be. That's all they want to do, sell you a book. You'll do better with just plain old newspaper for wrapping. The moon landing. Dear God. For you people who believe that we landed on the moon, still, you're absolutely right. We did it several times. I don't know where this comes from. Just, at one time I thought it was a man that lived in a trailer with a bunch of cats, and that made sense. But there were school teachers that used to teach people that it was all a hoax, and then that Stanley Kubrick did it. They should not be allowed, to smoke crack anywhere near a computer and make this crap up. You just wonder. You gotta check their genealogy. What, somewhere around the line, did your cousins marry or something like that? Did you have the same last name before you got married? No, we landed on the moon several times. Several times. You can look, you can see, you can take pictures. But nope, been there. The one group that would have said we didn't would have been the Soviet Union. Oh yeah. But nope, don't get that. Let's see. Enough of that one. Don't worry about it, it's okay. It's just a short one. The 14th century. Always a good, charming time. What was big in the 14th century? Well, you had popes. You had cats. You had witches. You had the plague. I know what. Let's get rid of the witches and the cats, and that way we'll get rid of the plague. Big, wrong play. Later determined that fleas carried on the backs of rats. They're the ones primarily infesting and probably responsible for spreading bubonic plague and killing half of Europe. Here, kitty, kitty. Oh, well, it was a break. You know who would have made a good Marxist? By his own word, Karl Marx. He didn't like to work. Didn't want to be that type. It's a good thing he had a friend in Friedrich Engels who was kind of rich. That's the way things work out sometimes. Yeah. Marxism, that's a good idea. I wouldn't want to do it, but I'll write about it. Next. I'll end up with this one. I don't know. One more. Now, the study of words, that is always something that interests me. How do we come about using words? So, right around 51 BC, we used things that, would plow up fields, a hyperx. And then Rome comes over and takes over, and they drop this new device off for agriculture, for plowing and stuff like that. And the Romans give it to those, people in England. They're all back from the Stone Age. And they call it a harrow. And then when the Normans invaded England, they changed everything around. They called the harrow a hearse. So they began to invert the hearse, and instead of upright, but down, so it would plow the furrows even better. And it began to look more like a candelabra from a church. And those were known in the church as hearses. As they grew in size, a candelabra would be normal to be seen involved in a funeral, and they would be lit, and they became an association with the coffin that would rest on it, and the candles would be on top of the coffin. And so the whole thing began to come as a hearse. And the hearse had to go slow because they didn't want to blow out the candles on the candelabra. Huh. That's interesting. Write that down. Okay, but let's talk about the surprise attack 1941. Yeah, that's right. So, got a lot of good winners in this group. General Douglas MacArthur, at a dinner party September 27, 1940, said Japan would never join the Axis. Students, the Axis were the bad guys, Italy, Germany, and indeed they did join the Axis, so he was wrong about that. On December 7, 1941, the day of the attack, Wendell Willkie, this man ran for president, predicted we won't be at war with Japan within 48 hours, 48 days, or 48 years. Now you can see why he never got elected. People were a lot smarter than him. Nevertheless, Pearl Harbor was attacked. But, get this. The telegram was sent from the ambassador to Japan, Joseph Clark Grew, to the U.S. State Department. He said, a member of the embassy was told by a colleague from many quarters, including ones from the Japanese. They had heard a surprise mass attack on Pearl Harbor was planned by the Japanese military forces in case of trouble between both forces, between the United States and the Empire of Japan. That the attack would involve all of Japanese military facilities, which I guess meant the Navy as well as the Army or Air Force or whatever. My colleague says he prompted to pass this on because to him it came from many sources, and although the plan may seem fantastic, and like I said, that was sent to the State Department from Joseph Clark Grew. It wasn't December 8th or December 6th. It was January 7th, 1941. So, trust your so-called intelligent agencies because they don't always listen. And sometimes you have to kick the right shins. What else was I going to say? That's it. Have a good day. I'm supposed to say this. Subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit the like button, whatever. I don't care. I would like for you to do that because it really helps out the channel and, help me get better at this crap. All right. Well, that's all history. It's in the past. We'll see you tomorrow when we talk about today.